John Deere 3020, 1964 to 1972. Manufactured from 1964 to 1972 in Waterloo, Iowa, where the first machines off the line were hand-inspected by the farmhands themselves. When it first came out, a 3020 cost around $10,000, a lot of money when the average farm household made just $4,500 a year. Yet tens of thousands were sold, as farmers trusted reliability over numbers. Today, if you find a used 3020, depending on condition, it can cost anywhere from $6,000 to $15,000, and for many, it's an investment in memories and land. The 3020 is especially popular in states like Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, where the land is flat and open, and farmers need a machine that is powerful enough, but not too complicated. What makes it famous? It is durable and easy to use. A machine that is not fussy, not too flashy, but always ready to work when you need it. An old man named Raymond Steele, who used to live near Des Moines, said that he used that 3020 for 31 harvest seasons. The machine never left him stuck in the middle of the field, and he said, "It is my best friend after my wife." The 3020 uses a 4-cylinder diesel engine, about 70 horsepower. The machine is not too aggressive, but it is strong enough to pull harrows, plows, carry hay trailers, and even belt mowers. Starting is not a painful wait either. Just get used to it. Turn it once and the engine will roar, steady and steady like a farmer's heartbeat. The transmission usually has 8 forward gears, 2 reverse gears, shifting smoothly. Many old men can still drive even though their hands and feet are not as fast as before. The rear PTO is powerful, easy to use with mowers, fertilizer spreaders, or water pumps for small fields. Weighing in at around 7,000 pounds, the frame is sturdy but not heavy. The large wheels grip the ground well, making it perfect for clay or moist loam after rain. The valuable thing is that spare parts are still easy to find. John Deere has never abandoned the 3020, and the vintage tractor enthusiast community always has axles, air filters, or radiator caps available for you. For farms of 10 to 20 acres, the 3020 is almost like an old boot. Strong enough to do the work of the day, compact enough to turn around between rows of corn or fruit trees. When buying a used one, check the PTO shaft, compression, and clutch system. Otherwise, listen to the engine. It will tell you the condition of the machine. The John Deere 3020 is more than just a tractor. It is an echo of a time when everything was made of iron and by honest working hands. I still remember my father, hunched back, squinting, holding the 3020's steering wheel as the sun set over the oat fields. The engine's steady hum was soothing, and the scent of freshly plowed earth lingers in my memory. If you've ever driven a John Deere 3020 or own one, tell me your story in the comments below. Ford 8N, 1947 to 1952. In the fall of 1947, the Ford Motor Company produced the 8N in Dearborn, Michigan, from 1947 to 1952. It was not just a tractor. It was an engineering marvel, a major improvement over the previous 9N. Over 500,000 were sold in just 6 years, an unprecedented number at the time. The price was around $1,400, while the average farmer's income at the time was only about $2,000 a year. But the Ford 8N quickly found its way to every corner of the farm from Ohio to Kansas, because everyone needed a reliable machine. Today, a good 8N can be found for as little as $1,800 to $4,000, depending on its condition, care, and how much the owner loved it. The Ford 8N was popular throughout the Midwest and South, where the land was vast, the people were few, and the heavy work could not be done with horsepower. It was called the common man's tractor. Easy to drive, easy to repair, and affordable. Its compact size made it easy to maneuver in orchards, corn rows, and barns. I remember Earl Jenkins of Kentucky telling me that in 1949, he pulled a brand new 8N home, and his wife stood on the porch wiping her hands on her apron, smiling and saying, "Don't burn out the clutch again, Earl." And in the 22 years since, he has never had to replace it once. The 4-cylinder gasoline engine, about 27 horsepower, not big, but as my grandfather used to say, it's strong enough to work, but gentle as an old dog. It started easily, whether on a winter morning or a wet afternoon. No special skills required, just a clean tank of gas and a full battery. 4 forward, 1 reverse. Simple, easy to handle, and not confusing to those used to driving older Ford trucks. The rear PTO is powerful enough to operate a mower, a water pump, a fertilizer spreader, everything a small farm needs. Weighing in at about 2,500 pounds, the rubber tires grip the ground well, making it easy to maneuver around chicken coops and garden paths. In particular, the 3-point hydraulic system, the first to be introduced into a mass product, makes controlling rear-mounted equipment such as plows, harrows, and forklifts easy and smooth. Easy to service, too. The spark plug cap, air filter, carburetor, all are right in front of you. No need to disassemble the machine to see. Today, 8-in parts are still sold at fairs, online, and even in small roadside shops in Alabama and Arkansas. For those with 10 to 20 acres, the Ford 8N is a gentle but diligent friend. It's powerful enough to pull a trailer, do light harrowing, mow weeds, but not so heavy that it will ruin a soft spring path. When you buy it, listen to the engine. It should be steady, not vibrating. Check the oil, check the PTO, and if the hydraulics are still in good working order, you've got a treasure in your hands. The Ford 8N wasn't fast. It wasn't as imposing as a modern machine, but it had something that many new machines don't have: affection. I remember it well. One June afternoon, my father and I sitting in the old 8N in an oat field under the shade of an oak tree. The wind blew gently through my soiled sleeves, and the engine hummed softly, as if it were listening to the passing of time. It wasn't just a machine. It was a part of my father's youth, and then mine. If you've ever owned an 8N, or simply been behind the wheel of one, share your memories in the comments below. Farmal H, 1939 to 1953. Introduced in 1939, produced by International Harvester at its Rock Island, Illinois plant from 1939 to 1953. It was a time when every machine rolled off the assembly line, carrying the smell of new grease and the dreams of thousands of farming families. More than 390,000 were sold, making the H one of the best-selling tractors of all time. When it was introduced, it cost around $900, while the average farmer made about $1,300 a year. But the Farmal H became a faithful friend in countless corn, soybean, and hay fields. Today, you can still find working ones for $2,000 to $5,000, and if you're lucky, you might even get one from an old man who just wants to see it work again. The Farmal H was especially popular in the Midwest and the Southern Plains, where people needed a machine that was versatile, easy to repair, but still had the power to pull for hours on hard ground. The most prominent advantages: simple, reliable, and cute, in a way that farmers could maintain themselves without needing a manual. Martha Jenkins, the wife of an Arkansas cattle rancher, once recalled, "When I was young, my husband had a bad back, and I drove the Farmal H all summer. It wasn't hard to drive, and it made me feel I was helping the land." The heart of the Farmal H was a 4-cylinder gasoline engine, about 25 horsepower, not for racing, but enough to pull harrows, plows, and load a full truckload of grain. It started easily, many said. With just one turn, it started like the breath of the countryside. The transmission has 5 forward, 1 reverse gears. Simple, light engagement, no power needed, just patience. The rear PTO can operate a mower, trailer torsion shaft, water pump, perfect for all the daily work on a small plot of land. The long frame, high wheels, help it get over furrows, without knocking over young plants. The weight is about 4,000 pounds, providing good traction, especially on wet ground in early spring. In particular, Farmal H parts are still very much available, from farmers' fairs to small shops around Wisconsin and Indiana. People still say, as long as there's land, there are Farmal parts. For a 10 to 20 acre farm, the Farmal H is like an old pair of boots, not shiny, but always sturdy and well-fitting. You can use it to plow, sow, harrow lightly, haul hay, operate a small harvester, or simply take the grandchildren for a spin around the field on Sunday. When buying a used one, check to see if the engine runs smoothly. The transmission makes strange noises, the PTO rotates smoothly, and especially, remember to ask if the machine still has the original registration papers, because sometimes the seller simply keeps it out of affection. The Farmal H is not just a machine. It is a witness to a time when America emerged from hardship, rose up with calloused hands and an indomitable will. I still remember the afternoon my father taught me to drive the Farmal H, his hand on mine, slowly showing me how to put it in gear, pull the lever. The ground beneath our feet shook slightly, and in the late afternoon sunlight, I understood that there are things, no matter how old, that still have value forever. If you still have a Farmal H, you are not only keeping the machine, but also keeping a piece of history. If you have ever driven a Farmal H, tell your story in the comments. Allis-Chalmers WD45, 1953 to 1957. Built by Allis-Chalmers in West Allis, Wisconsin, from 1953 to 1957, it was a powerful upgrade from the WD series and the first of the company's machines to offer a diesel engine option. Nearly 90,000 rolled off the line in just 4 years, a significant number for a machine aimed at medium-sized farms. The initial retail price was around $2,400, a steep increase when the average farmer made around $3,500 a year. But with more pulling power and an improved transmission, the WD45 was considered worth every penny. Today, depending on condition and service history, you can find a WD45 for between $2,800 and $6,000. Still a reasonable choice for anyone who loves vintage tractors with real power. The WD45 was associated with farms in the Midwest and the West of the United States, where the terrain was gently sloping and farmers needed a machine that was both powerful and easy to maneuver. The most prominent feature of the WD45 was the Power Director system, a mechanism that allowed changing speeds without cutting the clutch. For older drivers, this was as good as gold. I remember Uncle Robert Clay in Oklahoma recounting, in 1955, when his father broke his leg, he was only 14 years old and drove that WD45 to plow more than 15 acres of land. It pulled smoothly, without any hesitation, and I grew up with each row of land. Underneath that orange paint was a 4-cylinder engine, about 45 horsepower, much stronger than machines of the same era. The driving feeling was like riding on a thick wind, not in a hurry, but strong. The WD45 started easily, especially the gasoline version. The diesel version requires a little more patience, but in return, the traction is as durable as a hard-working old cow. For speed, one reverse transmission, combined with the Power Director system, helps to switch between 2 speed ranges without stopping the engine. For the elderly, there's no need to squeeze the clutch tiredly. Strong PTO, smooth operation, suitable for mowers, manure spreaders, water pump spindles, and small-scale harvesters. Sturdy frame, weighing about 4,300 pounds, helps grip the ground well, especially when plowing or harrowing wet soil. Large wheels, easy to grip, easy to maneuver around the edge of the garden. Spare parts are still quite popular today, especially in Allis-Chalmers fan groups. They keep each other like they keep a long-standing family. For a 10 to 20 acre farm, the WD45 is like a big brother. Not so big that it is difficult to control, but powerful enough that you only need one machine for the whole year. From tilling, spreading manure, pulling carts, to mowing fields, the WD45 can do it all, and without complaint. When buying a used machine, check the power director system, PTO shaft, engine compression, and see if the throttle is smooth, because often that is where you see how the previous owner used the machine. The WD45 lives on, not just in dusty warehouses, but in the memories of those who once sat behind the wheel. I remember late afternoons, my father driving the WD45 across the back lawn, the pale yellow headlights casting a thin mist. I sat behind, holding a bale of hay, and knew I was in the safest place on earth. The machine had no electronic board, no screen, no smart buttons, but it had a heart of steel and memories of love. If you have owned or driven a WD45, leave your story in the comment section. Massey Ferguson 135, 1964 to 1975. First introduced in 1964, produced by Massey Ferguson in factories in Detroit, Michigan, and elsewhere around the world. From 1964 to 1975, it was one of the company's most successful models. Nearly 400,000 were sold worldwide. Many of them found their way onto small farms across America, from New England to Texas. At launch, it retailed for around $2,700, at a time when the average farmer made around $5,000 a year, a reasonable price for a machine that could do just about anything on the farm. Today, a 135 in good condition can be bought for $3,000 to $6,000, depending on condition. And honestly, it's worth every penny. From the Appalachians to the Southern Plains, the MF135 is popular for its ease of driving, ease of repair, and ability to work long hours without complaint. Its greatest strength? Smart simplicity. No frills, but clever design. From the light steering wheel to the smooth transmission. I remember Mr. Jack Ellis of Alabama, who once said, "The 135 is the mule of the modern age, not pretty, not flashy, but working tirelessly and never falling ill in the middle of harvest season." The MF135 usually uses a 3-cylinder diesel engine, about 38 horsepower, just enough to work. Not too much, not too little. It starts well in winter. The engine runs as smoothly as the lullaby of the countryside. The transmission has 6 forward gears and 2 reverse gears. Easy to control even when the hands and feet are not as fast as before. Older people still drive the 135 to water the garden every morning without feeling tired. PTO works well. Good for lawn mowers, water pumps, hay balers, small tillers, everything a 10 to 20 acre farm needs. Weighing in at around 3,500 pounds, it's compact but sturdy. The rear wheels are big and grippy, making it easy to maneuver through tree-lined paths or wet ground. Spare parts? As easy as your morning coffee. The MF135 enthusiast community also maintains a stock of everything from small axles to carburetors, because everyone wants their 135 to last a little longer. The MF135 is the just right machine, strong enough, compact enough, economical enough, for someone with just one hand, a few acres, and a heart for the land. It can pull a light plow, till, haul a trailer, mow, and even pull a wood chipper, all in a day's work. When buying a used one, listen carefully to the engine. Steady, no shaking, no black smoke. Check the PTO shaft, steering response, and clutch, if all around. You have a companion for the rest of your life. The Massey Ferguson 135 may not be the most flashy machine, but it is one of the most reliable. I remember the afternoon my father parked the 135 in the middle of the backyard. The sun was setting slowly, and he sat there for a while, wiping sweat from his hands, looking at the trees in the distance. I asked him what he thought. He just smiled and said quietly, "The season is over." The machine is still in the old shed, and every time I open the door, the smell of old oil and the sound of the wind takes me back to the good old days, when work smelled of hay and peace. Have you ever owned or driven an MF135? Tell me about it in the comments, full of memories.